Good morning, folks. It's Thursday morning, it's video time. You joined me back at the greenhouse at Stamford Hall today, where I was hoping it might have been a nice sunny warm day and we could have sat in the garden and made the video, but as it turns out it looks rather like autumn's returned. It's cloudy, it's windy, it's cold. Tomorrow is actually Beltane, the old Celtic festival, which we probably now call May Day, which traditionally would be the start of summer. Looking outside at the moment, it looks like we're a long way off that. But anyway, with that in mind, we're nearly at the start of a new month. So I thought what we do today is talk a little bit about what we can actually do during May. So if you're stuck for some ideas as to what to do in your garden, this might give you a few pointers. May and June are usually very, very busy months in the garden, and in a normal year, the greenhouse I'm sat in now will be absolutely jam-packed full of stuff and seedlings and potting on and pricking out and all the rest of it. Sadly, due to the situation at the moment, it's just got a few chili plants and a couple of cacti, but nevertheless, we'll work on that over the next few weeks and try and get a few more things growing in here. So, assuming the weather is good, what can we be doing? What can we do in our gardens at this time of year? We can certainly do a lot of seed sowing. So any sort of annual seeds that you've got, things like marigolds, lobelia, alyssum, sweet peas, anything like that, now is a brilliant time to sow them because they will germinate really, really quickly. You can either sow them in little pots of compost or direct sow them into the ground where you want them to flower. It is still a little bit chilly outside, so maybe you might want to wait off sowing outside until kind of the middle of May. Likewise, if you've got things like geraniums and fuchsias and dahlias that you might like to start taking out into the garden, bear in mind they won't like the cold, so probably a good idea to wait until, again, the middle of the month when the frost danger is likely to have passed. But while you're looking at your geraniums and your fuchsias and your dahlias that you want to put out, have a look at them and you'll see you've got some lovely nice new shoots growing on them. As we've done in a previous video with the dahlias, it's an excellent time of year now to just fill a little bit of well-drained compost into a pot and take a few cuttings. You'll get free plants very quickly and you can share them with people around, which I think is one of the good things about the situation we've got at the moment is most gardeners are growing lots and lots of stuff if they can and sharing it with people. So, you know, grow a few extra bits and pieces and share it with your family and friends. That's a good thing to do. So once we've sown our seeds, obviously, again, we've looked at this in the past, but we're still very much into the phase of pricking seedlings out, i.e. taking them from the nursery pots, putting them in their next pot up, just to give them a little bit more room to expand and grow before they go outside. So seed sowing, pricking out, potting on, definitely are things we can be doing. As well as sowing all our sort of annual flowers, we can also sow the vast majority of our vegetable seeds now. So lettuce, carrots, turnips, you name it, beans, peas, we can start to sow all of them. And again, you can either sow them in pots on a windowsill, grow them on and plant them out, or sow them directly outside where you want them to grow. Choice is really up to you on that one. Things like beans and peas, you might want to provide a little bit of protection because, as we've certainly discovered at Stamford Hall, mice really do enjoy eating beans and peas, so maybe give them a little bit of protection. Something else veg-wise we can be doing is planting out our potatoes. You may have noticed I posted up the other day Jane on her allotment with a step-by-step guide on planting potatoes. Now is a great time if you haven't got your potatoes in to get them planted. If you haven't got a nice allotment like Jane's got, you can just grow your potatoes in. You can buy proper bags to grow them in or just large flower pots. They won't mind. Also, potatoes are a great thing if you've got a patch of sort of not very well looked after soil in your garden and you want to get it back into production. Potatoes are a great crop to grow in these sort of areas because they'll actually break up the soil and make it better for you. So give your spuds a go. For those who've got tomatoes that are already growing, I know certainly we have, they're probably getting a little bit long and leggy now, so make sure that you tie them in, nice stout bamboo cane, something like that. And check for any side shoots, so any shoots coming between the main stem and the leaves, you'll get tiny little stems coming out. Just pick them off, the plant doesn't need them. Something else that obviously is well underway at this time of year is grass cutting. Don't be tempted to cut too short yet, and obviously try and avoid cutting when we've having the sort of the long prolonged hot spells we've been having, and just keep the lawn ticking over. Don't cut it too short, because otherwise it will turn yellow and then you'll have a not the best looking lawn for a period of time. So it's a little bit late, but you can also still carry out aeration, as in if you've only got a small lawn, get a garden fork and just go all over it, sticking the fork in, creating holes which you can brush sand in that will just get a little bit of air into the soil, stop it going stagnant. If you've got a lawn that's particularly covered in moss, again, a little bit late, but you can get yourself a hollow tine rake or a scarifier, and just take out the thatch. All lawns will produce a layer of thatch at the bottom, and it can get mossy, and so a good time to carry out sort of general lawn maintenance. Even a little bit of top dressing, a little bit of topsoil, some grass seed thrown in if needs be. Perfect time for that, because I think we're going to have sort of belated April showers, so good time for that. A lot of you might be tempted to get out in your gardens and start pruning things, because things are actively growing, hedges, bushes, shrubs and the like. A small note of caution when you're doing that is just have a quick check before you start, make sure there's no birds nesting in them. The birds have been nesting and fledging very early this year, so just before you start cutting, have a good look through, make sure everything's okay. If you have got birds in your plants, then let them carry on and enjoy them, and then prune a bit later on in the season. Things like perennials, herbaceous perennials, if you've got them growing in your garden, it is a little bit late, but again, it's a good time of year to actually, if you've got a very big clump and you want to divide it up, so if you've got a nice big clump and you can sort of chop it up into 3 or 4 pieces and again spread it around, now is a good time. The plants are growing actively and they will adapt very, very quickly. Likewise, if you have got perennial plants, now is a good time to get stakes in place to hold them up so they don't fall over. The earlier you get them staked in, the more the plants can grow into your support structures, and the less obtrusive they will be in the garden. So that's a good time to do that as well. If you do have access to bedding plants, or you've been growing them yourselves, it's a good time now to start making your hanging baskets, your window boxes, and planting up pots and the like. But again, just remember that there is still possibility of a frost, so just be careful with that. What else could we do? Looking out the window, I can see the compost heap. If you have a compost heap and you've not turned it for a long time, or not turned it since last year, it's a good idea to get in there with a garden fork and turn it all over. The action of turning it, just you cannot underestimate how powerful turning a compost heap can be. I took over the compost heaps at Headley Court when I first became a volunteer, and just purely and simply by turning the compost from one pen into the next, it creates the most amazing compost. So if you've got compost, don't just let the heap sit there and go stagnant and horrible. Get in there, give it a turn. If the compost that you've got in there is already well rotted and it's nice and friable and lovely stuff, then it's an excellent time of year to start top dressing your beds. Spread it around your roses or on your vegetable garden, anything like that. It's an absolutely great thing to do. So I think that's a few things that we can be getting on with in the garden over the next few weeks, and we'll do a few of them in the greenhouse here. We'll do a few of them in the grounds at Stamford Hall over the next few weeks. So I think that'll do for today. Hopefully the weather will pick up and we can all get back out in our gardens. So until next week, enjoy your gardens. And as always, if you've got any questions or any comments or want to send me any pictures, I'd love to hear from you. So until next week, take care. All the best. Bye.